everybody. Welcome to Dev Q&A number 5 of Batman Arkham Shadow. My name is Matt Walker. I'm producer on the title, and I'm here with...
And I'm Ryan Payton. I'm the director of Batman Arkham Shadow.
Nice birdie.
All right, Ryan. Well, since number 4, I think a lot's happened, but let's start with what's the biggest thing?
The biggest thing is that Batman Arkham Shadow is out there in the world.
All right.
And we couldn't have been happier for the release and the response to the game so far. How do you feel about this?
Oh, man, I feel great. You know, it was amazing to wake up the day that it released and to just see all these discussions, you know, first in our Slack, but then online about how people were enjoying the game. It was such a weight off my shoulders. You know?
Absolutely, because you never know, right? And so, yeah, we're here to answer about 20 more questions from the community, which we always appreciate, these fantastic questions. We're going to be talking about this big version 1.1 update that the team has been working so hard on since the game released. We're talking about over 7,000 check-ins into the game, about 1,200 tickets resolved based on community feedback. We're going to get right into that. We're also going to be answering the most asked question on the internet about Batman Arkham Shadow, which is whether or not the game is coming to other platforms. We're going to give a very clear answer about that one, and then we're talking about lore and all sorts of other fun stuff. So should we get into it?
All right. From Fortuna's biggest fan on YouTube, how does it feel to have created one of the best in the Arkham series?
It's flattering, and I think that we're all really proud of where we landed. When we started development on Arkham Shadow, and you could attest to this, the goal and the vision provided to the team was never, we're going to make a game better than all of those amazing previous Arkham games. That was not the goal. The goal was to create an official new entry that could stand alongside those games, right? That respected those games, and we were just going to pour our hearts and souls into it and hopefully make a game that people connected with and that they loved. And thankfully, people have responded and told us that this is their favorite story in any Arkham game, or they've never felt more immersed, or they liked some of these bosses, right?
That's right. I mean, for me, I got to say, one of the greatest things was seeing, I believe it was Gotham Paladins, you know, top 20 bosses in the Arkham series. And he literally has one of our bosses at number 2? Number two?
Right behind Deathstroke.
In the series?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that kind of recognition, that means that just means the world to us, right?
It really does. It really does. All right, next question then. From Oblivion 2054 on Discord, what was your favorite part of developing Batman Arkham Shadow?
Favorite part of developing Arkham Shadow, for me, is something I did not expect, which is, as you know, we spent years, and especially just me and my off hours, just going so deep into the Arkham lore, watching every video I could watch about it on Batman Arkham Videos channel and other channels like Gotham Paladins and these other amazing YouTubers out there, to forum posts, the Arkham Wiki, just going as deep as I could, and obviously playing the games over and over and over and over again. And then it came to the question of, okay, how's the community going to respond? And we got a taste of that on May 1st when we announced the game with that teaser CG trailer. And that began something that I didn't expect to love as much as I end up loving, which was the discourse with the community, the back and forth, the hearing them out, whether they're happy or they're not happy. That, as you know, I've been obsessed.
Yeah.
Especially since we announced the game.
Absolutely.
And it's just been so much fun.
All right, next question then. From literally everybody, every corner of the internet has been asking, will Batman Arkham Shadow come to PC VR or PSVR 2?
Well, the answer to that question is unfortunately no, for those who really want the game on that piece of hardware that they have. And I just want to take an opportunity to explain why, and also to start off by saying that typically I really don't like being asked the same question over and over again. You know that, right?
I do know that, yes.
But in this one, I give a special exception because I know that the source of this is the ultimate compliment, which is people want to play this game, which is awesome. Right? And as developers, we really do appreciate that. But we do have an obligation as a first-party development studio that works for a first-party organization, Meta, that owns the platform and the ecosystem, to make the best games. So you want to buy the hardware. That is what we're here for. We're here to convince you to jump into the MetaQuest ecosystem. And the company's done a pretty good and convincing job to make it easy for you to jump in. Whether it's on the Quest 3 or the $299 Quest 3S, you buy either of those that hardware all the way through April, I believe, and the game comes bundled for free with that hardware. And you've got this amazing ecosystem to jump into, right? You got the games that are already on the platform, from like last year, for example, Asgard's Wrath 2 and Assassin's Creed Nexus. You got classics like Beat Saber, and that Iron Man VR game that you worked on is pretty good.
Right.
And then just like as of recently, right? Like what VR gamers are eating good, right?
Oh man, exactly. This year we've had so many amazing titles, right? I mean, you figure Arizona Sunshine remake.
Yep.
You have Metro Awakening.
Yeah, it was great reviews.
Skydance's Behemoth.
Right around the corner, and then Triangle Strategy from Square Enix, which is an amazing game. You can play that in MR mode, which is like I think the way to play
Oh, it's
that game.
so cool. I had never even thought about playing that kind of strategy game like that
Right?
in MR mode, but I love that. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
and for people who's like, oh, there's not enough games for VR, they're all short. That's a 20-hour turn-based RPG from Square Enix that you can play with your headset in MR in your living room. It's amazing. So, yes, we're sorry that the game is not coming to PC and to PlayStation VR 2, because we understand that you want the game on that hardware that you might already own. But we just love this Quest 3 platform, and we think that, hey, take a chance on it. You're gonna love Batman, I think, and you're gonna love all this other content that's out now and that's also on the horizon.
Right on. Then from Batman R09MJ on YouTube. Did being a part of the Arkhamverse limit you, or did it enable you to go exactly where you wanted to go?
For me, working in the Arkham franchise, in the Arkhamverse, was the thing that got me excited about working on this. I mean, Batman's my favorite superhero, but knowing that we were going to go to Warner Brothers and pitch them on a new entry into the Arkham franchise, that is what got me, well, excited, but also terrified, right? Which we've talked about before.
Yep.
But yeah, what about you, Matt Walker? And did you find it as a limitation, or is it a good thing, a bad thing?
Well, I mean, it puts you in a certain box, right? But I think that really helped focus us.
I
you know?
agree.
This is something we talk about a lot, right? That, I mean, what if it was just Batman? It's like, go ahead, do whatever you want with Batman. It's like, there are so many different ways you could go there, right?
Absolutely.
Where with Arkham, you go, okay, here's what Arkham is. Let's make that the best thing it can be in VR. And let's make sure that we are aware of all of the different lore, everything that's happened to the franchise, and try to make sure that we're respecting that. And then where we can and where we want to, expand upon them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and put our own fingerprints on it, what we're passionate about, which I think we did with the game. We took some chances, and thankfully people really responded well to the things that we've added to the Arkhamverse, which we're really happy to see.
All right, from Charlie on Discord. Were you ever worried about how Arkham fans would react to major story moments as it relates to the established lore?
What do you think, Matt Walker? Do you think
Every
was I
day.
worried? Were you worried?
Every day. I think we all were, right?
Yeah, very much so. You just don't know. You don't know how people are going to respond.
Well, especially because, we had very specific things that we said, okay, we want to make meaningful games, right? And so we had very specific things we wanted to do with that angle. Right?
That's right.
And we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do that in a way that fans would be able to appreciate. I think we were, though.
I think we did the right thing. We respected the franchise. We worked very closely with our partners at Warner Brothers and DC, who have been amazing partners. And we also listened to their feedback and their guidance and said, go for it.
Yep.
Go for it. Don't be held back. Like, do something that you're really proud of and that's powerful and hard-hitting, because that's really what the legacy of Arkham is, in my opinion. It's that each one of those games, whether it's coming from Rocksteady or from Armature or from Warner Brothers Montreal, like they leaned in and they did unique, great things. And I think our team at Camouflage did the same.
Well, from Sergeant YT on Discord, just for fun, can you explain away a random continuity error?
Well, it doesn't sound very fun to me because I hate continuity errors, as you know.
That's true. I do know that.
And we obsessed over the continuity over the game for so many years. And we asked a lot of the questions that the community is asking us now. We asked ourselves those. How does this all work? So if we did make mistakes, and there's some typos in the game I'm not proud of, which are being fixed right now. And yeah, we didn't get it perfect, but I am so proud of how well everything seems to be being received in terms of the amount of detail and people recognizing like how well everything connects, right?
All right, well, look, let's have a specific example here. From Sandwich Mosley 4085 on YouTube. Have you heard the critiques about the Cyrus Pinckney timeline errors?
Absolutely heard the critiques. I'm online all the time looking at every single critique, posting about it, calling the writers on the Bat phone and saying, hey, did we mess this up? Because when I saw that, I thought, because it is admittedly very complicated. And I actually remember requesting to Jay Howell, who is the mastermind behind this all the lore that we added related to Cyrus Pinckney working with DC.
Yep.
I remember asking him for multiple reports to break it down for me, exactly how he's thinking about it. So we are respecting how Cyrus was kind of discussed or hinted at in the previous Arkham titles, going back to Asylum, and even more recently with Origins.
Right.
And so the way that we've depicted that character is consistent and works. We triple checked the math. but we understand why people are confused or maybe why they think we made a mistake. And now we're at this impasse. Do we show our math publicly and kind of ruin all the surprise? Which is kind of the way I like to do it. I like to be really open and transparent like we do with these videos, right? Or do we do what Rocksteady has done traditionally, which I really think is cool too, which is like they don't say anything and they let the community kind of work it out for themselves. So we actually haven't decided what we want to do about this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, that reminds me of a discussion that we've actually been having this week about they're like, people are saying there could be continuity issues with like, there's this rat that's in the projection room in the theater.
Oh, you're talking about the one where people think it's Dick Grayson, the one
hypothetically.
Right? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about there, but whether that character is a known character or is just a random rat in Gotham City who just finds himself in the projector room with those two sticks and has some pretty cool moves.
He does.
And voiced by Josh Keaton. We also looked very deep into that character's timeline, and we have more to do with that character in the future. And I think we feel really good about the work, the homework we did. But again, on the surface, we can understand why people think maybe we made a mistake. But again, that's another one we just keep going back and yep, this lines up. And DC is telling us, yep, it lines up.
Right. Well, but knowing you though, I'm sure that at some point we're gonna make sure we find a way to put out in front of people to make it real obvious. Like, hey, this is what we were planning all along.
Maybe not.
All right, well, it's been a little while since we had a rapid fire. How about this one? From Phantom Raptor 1 on X, what are your favorite dev jokes in the game?
Well, there's one about sewer power that is only funny to me and maybe Alexander O. Smith, one of the writers on the project.
And that strength has a name.
No.
That name is...
I'm gonna punch you.
Sewer power!
But how about you? Do you have any fun kind of dev jokes?
I mean, for me, it was such an honor. We have this guy named Paul Alexander who wrote all of the different like short button press and long button press dialogue for the different people in the prison,
Yeah, there's so much content there, by the way.
So
he did
much.
A great job on that.
So much. It was amazing. But, and he did a lot of really great writing, but he also wrote a character that's very specifically, it's called Walker, right? This character was, also voiced by Josh Keaton.
Yes.
He basically says a lot of stuff, a lot of these dumb phrases, basically, that I say all the time.
Ah, damn, man. That was sweet. Bolton was like, "Urgh," but then you were like, "Ha!" And then it was like, bang, boom, pow.
And I don't know if you know the origin story of your Arkham character, but that all stemmed from a bullet point list that I sent Paul Alexander of all the things you say throughout any kind of given day. Because we share an office and we work so closely together. Yeah. And so much of that ended up into the game, which was fun. And I actually loved like the 5-dimensional connection that everything is having with that character, and the fact that it's voiced by Josh Keaton, who also voiced Tony Stark in the game that you produced, Marvel's Iron Man VR for Quest. So it was so cool to see it all kind of come together.
I love it.
Beautiful. Let's test weapon switching. Repulsor's palms up, auxiliaries palms down.
Next question then from Hybrid225 on Discord. What was the biggest thing you learned from making the game?
Well, for me, one of the fun things about game development is, you learn with every project so many different things about game development, but with the types of games that we make at Camouflage, where we jump into lots of different topics and we go really, really deep, it's an opportunity to learn about topics that we maybe only knew on the surface level at the start of development. And one of those areas of subject matter that I was so excited to dive deeply into with this game was this whole idea of like human psychology, which is a big pillar of the Batman franchise, if you look at the films or the comics or the games. And so there was actually a gentleman that did the series on GQ about, where he's a psychiatrist, Dr. Eric Bender, who dives deep into these characters and the depictions of these characters across media. And I found it absolutely fascinating. And I reached out to Dr. Bender, and then you helped make the connection as well. We got him under contract as a consultant for the game. Yep. And we had the best time working with him.
It was so interesting.
Right?
It was so interesting. Getting to learn all this psychology stuff from him, kind of learning the difference between different situations in terms of the shadow, in terms of say childhood trauma.
Oh yeah, we could have gone through like the kind of the trope approach, like the popular media depictions of these things.
Right.
But every single step of the way, we would call Dr. Bender, who was amazing to work with, and he's so excited and passionate about the subject and the game. He wanted to be great, and we would just ask him and have him review scripts. what do you think about our depiction here? Is this respectful? Is this accurate?
Yep.
And he would educate us. And it's so funny you said that. It was so fascinating because after every single call, you would drop off and you would say, God, that was fascinating.
Yeah.
And because it was so good. We learned so much from Dr. Bender. He was there on the PCAP stage during the group therapy sessions with that amazing scene.
I'm putting an end to this.
Keep your mitts off me!
Hand over the doll, you feeble-minded worm!
He was there alongside Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith during these really emotional scenes. And yeah, it was just, I'm honored that Dr. Bender worked with us. And I'm also proud of us for wanting to work with him and that the team really embraced that opportunity to do things the right way.
All right, from DMT Deadman on Discord, what was the thought process behind designing the matches Blackgate sections? Where did that idea stem from?
Well, the idea stemmed from very early discussions with Warner Brothers and DC when we were pitching them on the game. And we said, hey, look, this is our first foray into the Arkham franchise. We're looking to Rocksteady for so many sources of inspiration, including how did they approach their first Arkham game? And they didn't go full open world or even semi-open world like City. Even though I do think making a City-like game on the Quest 3 would be completely feasible, because that is a very powerful piece of hardware. But even if we could do it technically, I think we made the right decision from a scope and focus perspective to do something more like Asylum, right? A more of a condensed and constrained area with more of kind of Metroidvania style design. And given where we were in the timeline, and given that, quite frankly, I thought we can explore a lot of interesting topics and themes within a prison setting. We looked at Blackgate Prison. It was a very short conversation with Warner Brothers when we said, hey, it's gonna be like Arkham Asylum, but in a prison. And then we looked at some inspiration from titles like Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, which is one of my favorite original Xbox titles. And we took so much inspiration from that game as well. So from a structure perspective and a scope perspective, that's how we ended up with the prison, but also from a story perspective, right?
Exactly, right? I mean, from a narrative perspective too, it was kind of a really important aspect of it, right? Because my understanding is that one of the most important themes, considering that as Camouflage, we're trying to make meaningful games, right? One of the themes that we really wanted to portray was we have this Batman from Arkham Origins who he hasn't quite come to understand the way that criminals think yet. He's just going to try to punish them.
Right, exactly.
And so, hey, how can we get Bruce Wayne then to try and actually get in the shoes of these criminals?
Exactly. How could he walk into the shoes of the people that he probably looks down upon the most?
Right. From DeWow Dude on Discord, what's been your favorite part of watching players get better at the game?
Yeah, I think he's touching on a big aspect of the game that we haven't really talked about today in this video, which is the gameplay, the combat. And DeWow Dude is a really active member in the community. He's a great content creator on YouTube, and has provided feedback to us, whether, hey, I found this bug, or hey, this was frustrating for me from a combat perspective because I'm used to the Arkham games in the flat screen functioning this way or this way. And as you know, we've got that channel where we're posting all that feedback and we're discussing. And then we also have our developers, whether it's Ryan Darcy or Troy Johnson, jump into the Discord with community members like him to discuss and to ask more questions. And sometimes it ends up being the case that we explain why we made a change to make it so it works well for VR, why it makes sense in the world of Arkham Shadow, and the community members are usually very, very receptive to that. And then sometimes it's the community members say, well, actually, technically in Arkham City, if you do this, this, and this, there's these different frames and this. And then Troy and Ryan Darcy look it up and they say, you're right. And they make that change. And that's a lot of what's actually going into this upcoming version 1.1, which we're going to talk about in a second, which is the game just improving because of this back and forth, watching people play, listening to people play. So cool.
I love it. I love it. All right, well then, looking ahead, from XSavvy DK25 on YouTube, how long is Camouflage planning on developing post-launch content?
Well, we actually don't know what the end date is, but we do know that we're fully on Arkham Shadow, the full team of Camouflage, since release, through November, through December, through January at the very least. And then we'll see what happens after that. But we've got this amazing calendar of content and bug fixes and stability and quality of life improvements that we're just developing. New challenge maps. And we'll tease some of that stuff in just a moment. But the big story for this week, I think, is version 1.1.
That's right.
What is it? 7,200 check-ins, 1,300 tickets have been resolved. So many good things getting packed into this, the biggest update we've done for the game just yet. So, Matt Walker, I was wondering, because I think you've got the cheat sheet.
I do have the cheat sheet here. So
what's coming in 1.1 this week?
All right. Well, this week in 1.1, we're going to have far fewer bugs. The game's going to be a lot more stable. We've been doing a lot of bug fixing, okay? We're going to have some technical improvements. So with any luck, there's going to be less crashes. The performance is probably going to be better in certain spots. We're going to have an improved map.
Yep, that was a big request.
Right? That's something that we've had a lot of people say, like, hey, you know what? Can we do something with the map? So we're trying to improve that.
Absolutely.
We're going to have some newer game over sequences.
We do, yeah. We've added additional game over sequences to the game.
Right. We're going to have some quality of life improvements for the database.
Yeah, that was something that we wanted to get in before launch and we just ran out of time. But yeah, it's just you're clicking around and you'd be able to listen to things. For example, the echo,
That's right.
the collected echoes. You can now click on those and hear back the VO, which we didn't have at ship.
That's right. And literally something that I've personally been working on is making sure that all the phone numbers are scannable, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that, again, we ran out of time at launch. We wanted all the phone numbers to be scannable at launch. We weren't able to do it. And then you decided to just jump into Unity on your own and hook up all the phone numbers. So now, actually, I should ask you, how does this feature work, Matt Walker?
Well, what's going to happen is, and so actually I'm saying all the phone numbers, and it'll be most of the phone numbers, right? There are a couple phone numbers where we decided that the way they were going to work was these are phone numbers from the other games. So part of the fun is finding those phone numbers and trying to put them in the phone, right?
That's right.
But for all the ones that we actually have in the game, you're going to be able to turn on detective vision. Right? And there's going to be, when you see the poster, whatever it is that has the phone number on it, you're going to be able to scan it. And then that's just going to add that to your phone database.
Great. I love that. It's such a cool feature.
Right? It'll be great. You'll be able to just go up to the phone then. You won't have to worry about, oh, wait, what was that phone number? It'll just be there ready to go.
And a similar kind of feature to another one that you implemented, which is these additional things we call POIs, these points of interest, which is these extra VO bits that maybe didn't work in the normal Golden Path flow of the game, but you added those as scannable objects in Detective Vision to add more context from what you typically Batman and Alfred.
Exactly. It's gonna be lines mainly from Batman, sometimes from Batman and Alfred. But basically, we had kind of two different categories here, where sometimes we had lines that we had so much going on in the game that a lot of the VO can sometimes overlap.
That's right.
So we said, okay, what if we move some of these into what we call these scannable narrative POIs? So you're going to turn on Detective Vision, and you might look at a certain thing now that you can scan, and that's going to trigger the comment.
To whoever is in charge at this dump, I am writing to inform you of my decision to resign from my position as the only psychiatrist worth a damn at Blackgate Prison, effective immediately.
But then there's also turns out we recorded so much great VO that we didn't get it all in the game.
That's right.
For release.
That's right.
So we said, okay, let's add this stuff that we had, but we didn't get a chance to get in the game as narrative POIs.
And I'm very impressed, by the way, you're able to hook that up on your own in Unity. It's very cool.
I mean, hey, we needed to leave the game designers to actually focus on more important stuff.
I feel like it's watching me.
But, we're also going to add the ability to remove damage states.
Yeah, that was a request that came in that I didn't know it was such a passionate topic for some players. That, like in Arkham Knight, for example, the suit has damage over time, and then players have the option to remove that or swap into a different suit so they can have a pristine version of the suit when they're doing kind of the in-game content. And so we heard that request and made that change, and now you can remove the damage states through the game's options, which is really cool.
Right. And we're going to have some improved UX feedback for the Disruptor. That was something we've seen some comments on, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when in 1.0, you might use the Disruptor and you're not sure if you did it the right way or the wrong way, and we've improved the feedback, the UX feedback on the Disruptor.
Right on. And then the last thing I have on the list here is micro gameplay improvement. So as an example, for the Cape Stun, use punch to distance when in free flow.
Yeah, so that's like one of those micro frame by frame bits of feedback we got from community members. And there's countless examples of that going into 1.1. You might not notice it on the surface, but underneath the hood, the game is tighter, it's better, and it's more informed, it's more Arkham, and that's all thanks to the community for all of their questions and suggestions.
Rapid fire from Travis Mackey 12'4" on YouTube. When can we expect the character viewer to be added to Batman Arkham Shadow?
Well, the character viewer, I'm happy to say, is coming in 1.2, which we're aiming to have that be released in December. In addition to some other content, maybe some more challenge map content, and also the non-English voiceovers for the game. So currently, English is the only voiceover in the game, and everything else has localization through subtitles. And now with 1.2, we're going to be adding all of the localized voiceovers across all of those languages, which is going to be a really big update. And we have other content coming along with 1.2 as well. So there's going to be a big update in December, another big update in January, and then we'll see where we go from there.
All right. More rapid fire from Cash Cochran 4049 on YouTube. Will Camouflage add New Game Plus?
New Game Plus, very high on the list of things that we want to do. If we did it, which is looking very good, won't be for this year, but most likely early next year.
All right, well, to continue on that front, rapid fire Yida on Discord. Will there be an I Am the Night mode?
That's another one I think you can just put up right at the top of the list of things that we are actively pursuing and we want to do, in addition to additional difficulty modes as well.
Okay. Rapid fire from Mash on Discord. Are there plans for endless combat challenge maps?
That's one that we heard from the community, especially K-Nerd, who when we got to meet him, and he was asking us about endless mode, and the team went back and looked at it and were like, yeah, we could probably do this. So I think there's a lot to look forward to early next year.
Oh man, listen to this. It's like, all these requests just coming up. Yes, this is great. All right, well, from Jameson Chance Brown on Facebook. Any chance of you releasing story DLC? Mainly something to do with a certain rat we met at the theater.
So again, I don't know about this rat in this theater projector room that people keep referring to, but I love saying yes, clearly. But on this one, no, we're not going to do any story DLC, anything like Arkham Knight, where it had all the amazing, just such great content in the story DLCs. No plans to do that. But we do have plans to expand upon the story of that random rat that people like to talk about from the projector room, and also expand upon other kind of story bits within the world. So for people who love the story of Arkham Shadow, there's more coming, but it's not going to be in the form of like a big story DLC.
All right, rapid fire from Hostile on Discord. Andrea Beaumont's name appears in the credits, but I haven't seen her in the game.
This is one of those things where I was reminded about how amazing this community is. The Arkham players, they look at so much stuff. They care so much about the details. They'll look at the credits and it's so good. And in 1.1, I believe this week, you will hear her voice in the game. You just got to find it.
All right, from The Rat on Discord. Other than New Game Plus, new challenge maps, and bug fixes, what else are you considering for post-launch content?
So we just had a big meeting internally about what January would look like, what maybe even February could look like, and we've got some really exciting additional content that the team is looking into building. I don't want to spoil it all. I think part of the fun is to be able to, for me to evade these questions and kind of build some anticipation. But I don't think we could be happier with the response to the game. And how the team has responded to these requests, and they just care so much. We oftentimes get questions like, "Hey, isn't the team just resting after that big, long development of the game?" And no, like most of the team just wants to keep working on the game, plugging away, making it as good as possible. So more stuff beyond what we've talked about in this video is coming to the game for free over the next few months, and hopefully, Batman Arkham Videos will have us on his channel again. And we can do more of these and tease out more things.
Oh, I love it. And especially when you say free.
Yeah, you love free stuff.
I love free. All right, last question then. From One Festivus on Discord. What are the company's plans for the future?
I don't know, Matt Walker, I feel like, as always, I'm talking too much. What are the company's plans? What's in the future of Camouflage beyond all these amazing free updates to the game?
I mean, honestly, you've already elaborated on everything we know about right now, right? We know that we're working on 1.1 that's going to come out this week. We know that we're working on 1.2 that's going to come out in December. We know that with any luck, we're going to have 1.3 early next year, and then if we're lucky, maybe we're going to have something after that, right? Yeah. But that's all we know, right? That's literally all.
But what about that? So after that, what sequel? We work on to another game. What's in the cards?
You know me, man. If I got my way, yeah, I've said it before, but if I could make Arkham games until I retire, I'd be a happy man.
Yeah, me too. Because we love this franchise. We'd love to continue to work on it, but ultimately it's not our decision. So if it was, we'd be working on a sequel as of today.
We'd already be.
But yeah, it's up to the leadership over at Meta and Oculus Studios, to leadership over at Warner Brothers and DC, and if they felt like there's another opportunity that they wanted us to pursue, we'd be there. And if not, we'll work on whatever is next, and we'll put our hearts and souls into it as well. But it's been such an honor, and we're, in the meantime, we're just going to keep working on this game because we love it, and this great dialogue we have with the community. We appreciate everybody's questions. Every single time we do this, it's been so great, and the response. We appreciate Batman Arkham Videos for hosting these videos, We appreciate our colleagues here at the Tokyo Meta office for allowing us to use their studio and been such great partners. And to the players for playing Arkham Shadow and giving us this feedback and supporting us. So hopefully we'll be around again to do another one of these things, maybe around the time of 1.2.
All right,
And in the meantime, let's just get back to work as always.
Sounds good to me.